What's up, everybody? Good evening. I am live. I am your host, Sonja. Welcome to another edition of The Legal Score. I hope everybody's having an amazing July 22nd, 2026, guys. This feels like just yesterday. I was telling everybody that we were beginning July, and now here we are almost out of July. Going to be doing a special presentation at the halfway mark for my sister. She turned 50 on yesterday. Happy birthday to Anissa. But tonight, guys, I have a special treat for you guys now. This is a redo for me. You all who have been hanging in since the All Things Football from a Ladies Perspective Day know this is a redo for me. Last time I was joined by this lovely co-host. I actually had COVID, y'all, and had got it like 3 hours before. Came home, didn't know I had it, just knew I felt like trash. Collapsed and woke up only to her text saying, "Do we have a live show?" Because I'm backstage, and I was feverish and everything. And we got through the show. And that's been almost 2 years ago, y'all. Can you believe it's been literally that long ago? So y'all probably wondering who it is, because some of y'all are probably like, "What, girl? Who was it?" This person is absolutely amazing. She is a sideline reporter for the WNBA and the NBA G League. She's also ESPN color commentator for college football and sideline reporter for college basketball as well. She's a host and anchor for Tegna Locked On Sports National Podcast Network. And she's a guest analyst for WXIA here in Atlanta, 11 Alive Atlanta. Oh, guys, it's so much to this beautiful, beautiful co-host. Welcome once again to the Legal Score, none other than the lovely TENITRA Batiste.
Thank you for having me back.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you are doing well.
Yeah, doing well. We are gearing up for the 30th anniversary of the start of the WNBA. And so it's All-Star Weekend in Chicago, kicking off Friday. So yeah, making last minute tweaks, getting ready for that. Pretty exciting, because it's actually, believe it or not, it's my first All-Star for WNBA. So yeah, pretty stoked.
Congratulations on that. Now, I know I told our audience a little snippet. So what have you been up to other than that's coming up on your immediate horizon? What's been going on with you since the last time you were on the platform?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm literally like, what hasn't gone on? So, or my answer these days is, it depends on the day of the week of the month, and the month of the year. So here in the summer, most of the focus is on the W and doing sidelines for the W, as well as ESPN radio. And it was so fun this summer because I did a lot of their coverage for basketball during the NBA finals, the post-draft shows, and that was a great time. But for me, it's always exciting when I get to touch something that I haven't touched before. So the fever pitch of the World Cup and being able to cover that on air, talking to some of our play-by-play guys and our color commentators, some of the former coaches of World Cup teams, the U.S. men's national and women's national teams, like that was super cool. And so it's always about how we can stretch ourselves and how we can grow. So yeah, good stuff this summer, being able to cover that for ESPN radio.
I was going to say, I heard you and I was like, I know that voice. And how exciting that FIFA was here, and congratulations. It's now over with. Spain, the FIFA champs. I mean, Argentina and Spain were highly represented here in the city. I actually go to school downtown, so a lot of people right there in the Peachtree Center area. And how exciting was that, TENITRA, for you? Because like you said, always touching something that you haven't touched before. It's super exciting, and it, keeps the excitement going. And, sometimes can test, your acumen for things, because it's always something new.
Yes.
That, you're like, hold on, let me research this because I know this is about to happen. And then there you have it. So super kudos to you. I'm so proud of you for that. And speaking of, I mean, you've covered actually everything from the WNBA to the NBA G League, to ESPN college football, as well as basketball and the Super Bowl, NCAA tournaments. I mean, you're everywhere, and major national events, like you just mentioned, FIFA, the most recent. Looking back, what moment actually do you think most has shaped your philosophy as a sports broadcaster, at least up to this point?
Yeah, I think really it goes back to the Hawks, which was my first beat, the Atlanta Hawks, working with our local sports radio station, 92.9 The Game. And I started off as a technical producer, meaning I push the buttons that go make the show go on and make the show go off. And I just kept saying, hey, I could do more. And I had some really good advocates. So I always say, we as women, when we find ourselves with advocates, especially guys who've done this before, guys who've played the game and say, hey, she can do this, she can cover, it really does help. So for me, I had advocates at the station saying she can do this. So my first beat was with the Atlanta Hawks, and I covered them for 3 years while simultaneously covering the W, particularly the Atlanta Dream. I mean, I would do it for free, like literally come in sometimes and just produce the games because I wanted the W to have that heightened visibility. So going back to the Hawks, one day I got a call, hey, our on air, our streaming show, our live show that we do pregame, we want to have some guest hosts and we'd love to have you. And so I go in, I do that one week, and then they call back and they're like, hey, we like what you did, do it again. They called twice, and then it was crickets. And I was like, oh man, maybe that third show didn't hit. So, but then they called like 3 months later and said that they found a space for me, that they created rather a space for me, and that was in-game analyst. And that really was the game changer. And if I can just say this, I think it's so important for us to visualize what it is that we want. So I would go in that arena, State Farm Arena, and literally sit up top with media, with the reporters, the beat reporters and beat writers. And I would look down on that floor and I was like, how do I get there? I want to get there. I'm going to be there. And I had no clue how I would get there, but that in-game analyst job is how I got there. So I did that for a year, and this is building up to something. I did that for a year, and my boss came and he said, we know you want to do TV. Now, it's not the same because it's G League versus Hawks, but it's TV. Would you be interested? So yeah, I started doing sidelines for their G League team, the College Park Skyhawks. And now the last couple of seasons, I've been one of their fill-in color analysts, which helps to slow down the game so much for me. And the producers for that broadcast, along with some of my sisters in sports here in Atlanta, when openings became available for the Dream, they were advocating for me. And that producer had seen my work with Skyhawks and Hawks and was like, hey, I think she could do this as well. So I think that was probably the game changer. That's probably the moment when everything started to shift.
I really love that for you, Tenitra. And it's nothing like, seeing a vision, working towards the vision, and now, living the vision. And I just want to give a couple of shout outs real quick. Pink Fan Fur, my promo behind the host, always says she's the realest, real creator. She says hello and thank you, Pink, for the promotion. She's part of the great production team here, as well as Yoli came on a little bit earlier. She's a Green Bay Packer fan. Hello. I want to make sure I catch those real quick. I just wanted to say, I mean, if you have a vision, and it's kind of like you said, receiving that at a girl, especially from this being kind of, a male dominated, career choice, here and there, you don't see a lot of, a lot of faces, a lot of females, but now, there's a lot of people like me that do it, for fun, podcasting behind the scenes, but to be on a big stage and to know that you were humble enough to receive your introduction where you could at that point, and then to move forward to where you are now, it just shows about, the dedication you had in yourself, as well as, the own self at a girl, like, hey, I know I can do this. I just need an opportunity. And because some people, even in my position and different things, they don't want to accept, okay, this is not really what I want, big picture. But I think if a lot of people know that you have to work to get big picture, like in anything, you can't just build a house tomorrow right out of high school, unless you've got generational wealth and but somebody had to plan for that, is what I'm saying. If it wasn't you, someone had to put in the work to get to where you want it to be. You can't just wave your hand and magically, bewitch it. Here it is. And so I want to congratulate you from that standpoint, because I've seen, the growth. I remember you on 92.9 The Game. I remember listening to you, like going to work, every morning I would listen to you. I would literally only be on there because they would be talking about Falcon stuff, you know. And I was like, I just want to hear her because I thought you had the most amazing radio voice. This is before I even met you. And
Thank
then
you.
I was fortunate enough to meet you a couple years ago at
Yeah.
the Black Women Love Football here in Atlanta. And I literally saw you in there and I was like, oh my God, that is Tanisha. I literally was in myself like, you know, and the fact that I was actually part of the program made me be like, oh my God, I'm going to actually get to meet her. Like, and I know that was the first thing I said to you. I was like, I really just love you. Like, I've listened to you for years. You were like, but you were so down to earth and so
Oh,
cool.
thank you.
And you've always been that way.
And it's because when I recall being in that room, and I think you guys are asking about my favorite picture, so I said, okay, I'm going to surprise her, and I'm going to send the picture with the two of us and the other three ladies that were there on panel. It was just a powerful space. It was a really powerful space. It was people like you doing things, kind of stepping out and saying, hey, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to try something different, and let's see what happens. And it was just trailblazers. And that actually happened again last week at the She's Got Time conference in Vegas that was hosted by or envisioned by Swin Cash, the Hall of Famer,
Yes.
WNBA and Basketball Hall of Famer. And one of the things that the ladies in that room impressed me with was the fact that they were just coming from all directions. I mean, it wasn't just people who were covering the W or who appreciated the W. It was the head of the Upshot League, one of the upstart women's basketball leagues. It was leadership from the NWSL, from WWE, one of the heavy hitters in wrestling. And
I love
so,
that.
yeah, so when I'm in the room, in those spaces and places, I'm reminded and empowered that we can do whatever we put our minds to. Now, please understand, there are setbacks and there are ups and downs, and this business is unforgiving. Like, you really, really have to, you can't have, how do they say, you have to have thick skin. Like, you have to have thick skin. But if it's something that you want to do and you really are passionate about it and you don't mind putting the work in and the sacrifice, it's a beautiful thing to be able to wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I'm kind of just doing something fun that I happen to love and happen to get paid for. This is a blessing.
Yeah, I see Pink giving out a shout out. Thank you, Pink. She says support Black women's sports. She says Upshots there in the Queen City. And I mean, it's just you're right. And I know our time is rushing along here. I'm gonna try to squeeze some of these questions in. Tenitra's with us for the first half tonight because she has some professional obligations that we are super excited about for her. Now, sideline reporting is one of the most demanding jobs in sports. You just talked about this, Tenitra, because you've got to balance preparation, live reporting, breaking news, and storytelling in real time, and then have Tenitra's time as well. What does your preparation process actually look like before you ever step onto the field or the court?
Yeah, so I'm actually tweaking it right now. I actually have experimented this season just to try some different things to see if they'll be more effective. So one thing I'll do is, okay, if a game is 2 hours, then at a minimum, I need to be prepping 2 hours, and that is the bare minimum. And what does that prep involve? That involves watching some of the highlights from teams across the W, obviously the teams that I'll be covering, but sometimes I'll watch those teams play other teams just to see if I can see tendencies from the players or if I can see tendencies from the coaches or see what they do in the last 2 minutes of the first half, the first 2 minutes of the second half, in game, all of it. I'm watching. And then I'm also going to shoot around. So the morning of each game, each team typically has a practice, and I'm watching what's going on in practice. I'm taking notes there and getting prepared to ask questions of the players and coaches. Some of the questions, the answers do show up on air, and other times it's just giving me background so that I understand the mindset of the players and the coaches. The other thing I do, which is kind of sneaky cool, and the players seem to really get a kick out of it, is I go and I check out what they're posting on their social, because it's also supposed to be about fun, right? So we bring that into the sidelines. And then, of course, I'm peering into the huddle during timeout so that I can let you, the viewer, know exactly what's going on, kind of what's the strategy, whether the coach is saying, hey, let's keep doing what we're doing, or this is a reset type of timeout. But yeah, you're always also having that internal clock, because even now I already know, I'm like, Tenitra, you've got 15 minutes left. You got to get it cracking. But there's always a clock, because you're literally supposed to tell the story, tell it quickly, and get in and out. It's about the player. It's about the coach. You're just there to tee it up for the audience.
Yeah, and with all of that, so generally speaking, because I know no 2 days are the same.
Right.
What's a start time and a hard stop time? Do you have a hard stop? Like, this is it. I've got to focus on Tenitra. I've got to self-care. I got to get my rest. I got to binge watch TV, whatever it takes
Yeah.
to decompress. I mean, because that sounds like that's at least 12 hours a day.
Yeah, it is. And, it starts a couple days before. So even next week, I've got the Friday night game. So Wednesday morning, I'm reaching out to the Seattle Storm because I need to know, okay, is shoot around going to be on Friday, Thursday, or both days? And which days do you want me to come? And then that Thursday, I have to be prepared with my first story of the night because the producer's going to call and we're going to go through pre-production. So it really starts before the actual game day. Then I start to put all of the things together, what I've been able to research, kind of watching the trends of the last 3 to 5 games for that team, seeing which player has had a good 3 to 5 game run or not so good 3 to 5 game run, and then just kind of stacking on. I get with the play-by-play and color analysts as well to make sure I know, hey, where are you going with your stories to start the game? Okay, and here's where I'd like to go so that we're not bumping heads. We're complimenting one another so that it seems like it's just a conversation. We get to the arena about 2.5 hours ahead of time just so that we can run through everything. We get mic'd up, so on and so forth. Every now and again, I might get to sneak in one more round with the coaches and get just a little bit more tea for the game. And then, listen, it's off and running from about 7 to about 9:30. But I'm so hyped. Like, I don't go to bed until about midnight or 1 a.m. because I go and I watch the post game, and then I watch the next game, and then I watch halftime because they still might bring some of our stuff in from the first game. It's really cool. So yeah, it's probably a 12 to 14 hour day because literally you're starting at like 8 a.m., 7 a.m., and you're not really wrapping up until about midnight.
And even on your non-game days, I'm sure it's at least 9 hours because you got to put all that prep in. And I still have not heard the Tenitra time yet, but I'm gonna just let you. You'll
Yeah.
probably
What is that? What is that?
you'll text me later, like, oh, I got 30 minutes right here. And I know it was great because I know that we texted one night and it was like midnight, and you were like, so sorry, it's a late text. I don't know how I missed your text. And I'm like, girl, I am still up. So yeah, and so just awesome that we are like friends and sister friends now that we could text. So
Yeah.
it's like I know a celebrity. So yes, as you are. So with all of that going on, we just as the fans see the pretty face, hear the beautiful voice, but you've got a lot of irons in the kettle, as my grandmother knows used to say. I mean, you were host, analyst, reporter, podcast anchor as well, commentator. Which are those roles? Because it's you have so many. Which of those roles do you think is the most challenging, and not specifically from the fact that it may be challenging to fit them all in? It's really more so about the audience. How do you adjust your approach to the audience with the challenge you may face in either any of those roles?
Yeah, so the one I love the most is when I am hosting or moderating, whether that is for March Madness coverage, where we do our studio coverage, and like that is amazing because I get to deal with or kind of interact with, if you will, analysts from our Locked On Podcast Network, current college basketball coaches, current WNBA and NBA players. And that for me is super cool because I like to navigate the conversation. Like, I don't have to be the one to tell you that I know all the stats. I do know them because I need to know them, but I'm not the person who feels like I have to take over or commandeer the show. For me, it's helping those ladies and those guys to navigate the conversation. Or if there's a really salient point that was made and it's not necessarily what we have prepared for, but it's good stuff, I'm like, oh, we gotta reset. We gotta go back to that. I love being able to do that. That's my favorite thing to do, right? But I wanted to go back to something real quick on self-care. I know this is going to sound crazy, but my job is self-care because this is my second career. So just knowing what my former life was and how much I hated it, and to be able to do something I love, for me, that is the definition of self-care. Because when I walk into an arena, like, that's playtime for me. I do take my preparation seriously, but every time I'm in an arena or on a football field or, on the baseball field, that's self-care for me because I just absolutely love what I do.
That says a lot. And it's kind of like people will ask me, how do you balance all, doing your podcast and stuff? I was like, because I love to do that. That's
Yep.
literally like even during exam time, unless it's crazy, 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 which my producer B will tell everybody. I was like, can we run a re-air? I cannot understand this information right now. And I'm gonna have to spend all night. But most of the time when it's exams, I'm like, nope, you know what? I am gonna do a show because it's 1 hour and that is my free time and that's me decompressing.
Yeah.
And I know that they say if you ever have a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And so that's where your career is. And you've met so many unique people and had so many great experiences. I mean, you've covered the Super Bowl, NCAA championships, tournaments, NBA All-Star weekend, and you're getting ready to go to another one. With all of that, because we have a lot of, I'm meeting more and more young athletes that say they watch my show, like church members, kids that are graduating. My niece just graduated. She was athlete of the year from Southwest Guilford with the highest GPA and everything. And some of her friends say they follow it and they're athletes. And so I always try to like have a pivotal moment for them. And so this next question is geared towards that. With meeting all of these elite athletes and elite coaches, from everyone else who wants the spotlight, goes out or whatever. What separates elite athletes and coaches from everyone else once those lights go down?
Yeah, I think it's their ability to at one time treat every game the same, but at the same time go on some level and turn on a switch that it's literally like I've never seen anything like it. And I give you an example of Asia Wilson. Like the first time I had an opportunity to interview her a couple years ago, she was so laid back, joking, fun loving. I mean, you could tease her because of course she's an AKA, I'm a Delta, so you can, joss with her. It's not a big deal. And you're thinking, when she gets on that court, now she's still smiling, she's still joking, but everybody knows she is in killer mode. It's just amazing to watch how she's able to maintain calm and cool, even in the huddle, but she's watching everything. So as laid back and as calm and as she may appear to be, she is an assassin. And just to watch her mind and how it thinks and the way that she just continues to elevate her game, it's amazing. And I have to give the same credit to her coach because as intense as Becky Hammon is, and Becky Hammon is intense, right? She also has those moments where she's laid back. Like I interviewed her and I was only supposed to have like 1 or 2 minutes. We ended up talking like 6 or 8 minutes, which is a big deal when it's coaches one-on-one time, right? But for her, the intensity level is just, it's just on 10. And so I mentioned them because we're talking about a coach who's been there for those amazing moments for the Las Vegas Aces, winning 3 championships, if you will, and Asia Wilson with 4 MVPs, and yet they're as hungry as they've ever been. But Pink Fanfare mentioned something as well. South Carolina women's basketball have not interviewed Dawn Staley just yet, but you talk about the humility and you talk about the way that you're able to see her imprint across the W night in and night out. Now that for me has been mind blowing, and having a conversation with her and seeing how humble she is and how much she's still coaching up her players, even when they're in the W, helping them to get better. That's been tremendous as well. And those are my more recent ones. Definitely have a lot of stories, but those are probably the more recent ones.
It's funny you bring up Asia and interviewing her because that was literally the last time you came on my platform. It just triggered that memory that is exactly what we talked about. And I was excited, but I couldn't give you much energy because I was sick. But I was so excited for you because I was like, oh my God. I remember saying, oh my God, I know that's somewhere in the time capsule, that interview. I'm gonna have to pull it out and see just how bad I look, but how well you articulated on how that interview went, because I was so excited. Like, oh my goodness, like she seems so cool, and you were like, she really is.
She-
And we've seen the maturation even within the last 24 months of
Yes.
just how big she is. And then it's about remaining connected to your humble beginnings.
Yes.
I know we got a couple of minutes left here before I let you go for this time, Tenitra. But I will say real quick on the NFL spin, want to touch that real quick. NFL training camps have officially gotten underway. Much of the conversation this week has been around quarterback storylines, roster competitions. We've seen Aaron Rodgers now being reunited with Mike McCarthy, this time as a Steeler. I'm pretty sure this is Aaron's finale. But from your perspective, on someone who has covered football on the sidelines, what are you watching most closely during training camp that fans often miss?
Yeah, and because we're here in Atlanta, and I know we're talking about it, we're talking about the Falcons, for example. But I'll go back to the Steelers as well. I think for me, I'm kind of looking at that secondary storyline. So the Falcons being a great example of everybody wants to know: is it going to be Tua Tagovailoa or is it going to be Michael Penix Jr.? In terms of in training camp, you should finally be able to see both of those guys going head to head, getting reps with the first team, if you will, and kind of seeing who's going to win out in what's supposed to be a quarterback battle. But the reality is, in all likelihood, the Falcons are going to be buoyed by their defense and what happens in particular in their secondary, because their up front, they actually played pretty well last season, right? So now the question becomes, okay, you've got AJ Terrell back there, and now you have Avion Terrell back there with some really neat, with some really intriguing skill sets, but how's he actually going to fit in with this secondary, and how is Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator, going to be able to utilize, because he actually has an embarrassment of riches. So I'm interested to see what kind of quote unquote pitch count they're going to be on in training camp, and if that kind of informs us of what the pitch count is going to be for going forward in terms of how he's going to use a boatload of DBs and who's going to actually end up on the other side of the field against AJ Terrell. But I think the other piece is this, and knowing that you're a Panthers fan, you know, this is something that I can kind of appreciate. I think it's always intriguing what's going to go on, maybe not so much in terms of like position battles per se, or like that position battle that you don't kind of know about, but we're talking about the maturation of quarterbacks and whether or not Bryce Young can take that step. Because think about the quarterbacks that we've seen in the last couple of years and what kind of steps they've taken. Is CJ Stroud going to take a step back? Because he took a step back, so he's going to take 2 steps forward so he can go next level. I loved what I saw from Caleb Williams. By the way, I'm probably the only person who, before the end of last, or the beginning of last season, actually said, everybody look out for the Bears. They're going to make the playoffs, and no one should be surprised if they actually win the division. I think that Caleb Williams is someone I'm going to be looking for. So for me, I think because the quarterback position is the one that's so important, it's not so much that I'm looking at the position battles in teams like the Atlanta Falcons, but I'm more looking at individual quarterbacks and what are they going to do? Are we going to see Sam Darnold be able to do it again? Whether the Seahawks get there or not, are we going to see him do it again? You talked about a last hurrah with Aaron Rodgers. I'm talking about a last hurrah with Matt Stafford, because I love me some Rams with the blank them picks. Like that's a philosophy I'm here for.
They have grabbed everybody but their mama to put on that roster. And the Rams are my new most hated team, more than anybody else, because they eliminated our player. Like, I just don't. They were so cocky and disrespectful. It was ridiculous, even though we beat them during the regular season. But they are literally selling the farm to show, because the NFC West is the most competitive division right now. The West is the best. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's what's happening. And so, yeah, I definitely know that it's a super exciting time. We're less than 4 weeks away from the Hall of Fame game. I'm excited. I'm going to be in Canton. Super excited about that. You can see Drew Brees and, of course, Luke Kuechly, Larry Fitzgerald, Roger Steinbach, and Adam Vinatieri get inducted into the Hall. Long time Roger Steinbach held in there, and now he's going in. Super excited for him. And Tenitra, I know you've got to run and skedaddle and get to your pro duties. So I'm so glad and excited you took the time to stop by with us today. Tell everybody how to find you on the socials.
Yeah, sure. It's at TENITRA BATISTE. Really simple. That's on every platform. And I do a 5-minute vignette show. It's literally 5 minutes, called 5 Minutes with the Fam, that I drop on Instagram once a week. So make sure you guys check that out. And just one more thing before we go, because we're talking about some of those intriguing storylines. And like I said, I think it's the year of the QB to kind of see where quarterbacks are. And don't forget, as good as the NFC West is with their plethora of top-notch quarterbacks, you watch out for Jalen Hurts, because I think Jalen Hurts has something to prove. You watch out for Jaden Daniels. So don't forget about the NFC East and their ability to really make some noise and possibly be the representative for the NFC come Super Bowl, which I cannot wait to be able to cover this upcoming season, because it was super cool being able to cover a couple years ago in New Orleans. So thanks so much for having me too.
Absolutely. And I will say the East was the beast, but they've since been the least. So as they say, the verdict is still out. I like to say that all the time. And Tenitra, you maybe have given us a forecast again, but I do agree. Jalen definitely does have something to prove. Jaden Daniels coming back from that injury. Don't know what's going to go down with the whole Brandon Ayuk. Stephon Diggs still out there. Rumored to be interested in some team in the East in some capacity. So that's going to be the difference maker for me. And of course, the Eagles had their own thing with Mr. Brown, AJ Brown leaving and everything. So it's just a lot of moving parts that you got to consider, but you get a chance to get the bird's eye view on it all. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Know that you have an open invitation anytime. I hope it's not 2 years before we reconcile here, but of course we'll talk offline. And Tenitra, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a most amazing night and safe travels to the playoff games. Enjoy Chicago.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.
All right, everybody, we are about to take our halfway break here. And we thank Tenitra for joining us tonight. And we're getting ready to do a special presentation to my sister who celebrated 50 years on yesterday. Happy birthday, Anissa.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
All right, welcome back. The second half of the legal score. Thank you again to Tenitra Batiste, my guest extraordinaire for tonight. The lovely, always sweet and kind Tenitra Batiste. You guys make sure you follow her on those socials that she mentioned. I got a little bit of football news for you guys, a little bit of sports news for you all before we get out of here tonight. But thank you so much for the likes, comments, loves, and shares. Y'all, believe it or not, we're gonna finish this out with the NFL. Thank you guys for also wishing my sister, what's up, Rochelle? My sister Anissa, happy 50th birthday. And thank you, B. Brian, the producer, is handling all my stuff tonight for me. Super excited to have his help. He's amazing. The Pink Fanfare promos and my hype girl as well. This guy just will not go away, guys. I'm talking about Carson Beck. The Cardinals. We're gonna start calling him Cardinals Carson now, just ahead of the Pro Football Hall of Fame game where the Cardinals and the Panthers will be kicking off the preseason excitement here just the first week of August in Canton, Ohio. The Cardinals have signed third round quarterback Carson Beck to a 4-year, $7.4 million contract. Now, this is actually with him getting into training camp right now. And training camp's underway. The Cardinals are actually finalizing this deal with Beck that it's going to run all the way through 2029 season. He's 24 years old. You guys remember him from UGA. Then he went down to Miami. Well, he's one of 4 quarterbacks, y'all, that had not agreed to a rookie deal as of yesterday morning. So he's now signed, and congratulations to him. Now this is one of my favorite players, and I was ashamed when I looked him up and saw he had a family and how young he was and everything, but he's one of my favorite players, a very handsome guy, very talented. We saw him miss the entire season of the 49ers last year. Well, he is coming back, guys. Linebacker Fred Warner is going to be the highest rated, and he has been so far, highest rated off-ball linebacker in Madden 27 with a 97 overall rating. It's crazy that he's missed the entire season, but he's still rated that high. 97 over. He's also ahead of Roquan Smith, Zach Bond, and Demario Davis, as well as Bobby Wagner. So he's ahead of all those guys in Madden ratings. Now, I know what y'all want to know about, and I'll get there. I had to wait for Tenitra to bow out because of some of her professional affiliations. I will get to the whole ESPN firings and all this stuff in just a moment. Don't you worry. I'm going to address that. But speaking of firings, hirings, what have you, former Carolina Panthers wide receiver Devin Funchess. Y'all remember Fun, right? He has been training to make the NBA, y'all, and he became the first former NFL player to sign a professional basketball contract after joining the Caribbean Storm of the Colombian Basketball League in 2024. I didn't even know that, you guys. But he's now he signed an 8-year deal, of course, with the NFL. He's 32 now, and he's also played in multiple overseas leagues while working to improve his game. And he's actually expected to make a solid push for playing in the NBA the next season. Super excited for him. Now, the Seattle Seahawks have a lot of stuff going on with some injuries out there, but this was one you don't hardly see where players are rejecting, but this is news out of Seattle. Now, Tenitra mentioned Sam Darnold on her way out. Let's keep it with Seattle. Seattle offered cornerback Devin Witherspoon a 3-year deal upwards of $30 million per year, but he rejected it, saying that both sides are still at an impasse. And what's crazy, y'all, is this would have made him literally among the top, if not one of the top 4 or 5 paid corners in the league. So, according to Ian Rappaport, no resolution. Not sure what's going on with that. But yeah, wonder what happened to DF. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So another person, Jake Paul. You guys have heard a lot about this. Jake Paul, fighter extraordinaire. He's saying that some NFL coaches and teams are reaching out to him to express an interest in signing him and prefers, if he gets brought in, he wants to play with Shador Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. Now, he said there's a lot of mediocre, he's talking junk, y'all, typical fighter. He said there's a lot of mediocre players in the NFL, and he believes that he could be a better athlete than several wide receivers. That's what he was quoted saying. So we'll look to see, what happens to him in the long run. What's up, Blair? I don't know how I missed Blair Balday. Her comment. Blair, thank you so much. I don't know how I missed that comment. It's my former coworker. Like, one of my sisters. What's up in Memphis, girl? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. All right, guys. Veteran defensive end Danico Autry is expected to retire from the NFL after 12 seasons. Now, he's 36, guys. He's with the Houston Texans. He actually played for the Colts at first from 2018 to 2020, the Titans in 2021 through 2023, and then the Texans, his last team, 24 through now, well, 25 actually. But anyway, he recorded 331 total tackles. 226 of those were by himself. And 86 TFLs, 65.5 sacks, and he's had over 164 career games and 91 starts. So he's gonna be leaving shortly. Kudos to D'Amico Ryan. Speaking of the Texans, he baptized his son this past weekend at Fifth Ward Church of Christ. There's a video going on. I've shared it. I first of all did not know D'Amico was a member of the Church of Christ. So am I. Non-denominational Christian church. And so he did the baptism. And y'all know how I feel about D'Amico. I'm always talking about he is just great to look at. I'm not a Texans fan. I used to like JJ Watt, but I love D'Amico Ryans, and now I love him even more. To know he's a follower of Christ and that he baptized his son. That's great home training for him and his wife and their family. So congratulations to him. Now let me get to the tea y'all been wanting to talk about. ESPN, y'all. Okay, so someone pointed out to me, it was James or Brian or Bo, one of our other friends from the network, McGrath Podcast Network. Make sure you check us out. We got bunches of shows, as I showed you guys in the halftime here. In 2023, they fired like 20 people. Well, they are at it again. Ever since Disney acquired ESPN, there seems to just be some inconsistency with financials. I'm saying that as a perspective because a lot of people are streaming different platforms. Well, Cam Newton, who had just re-upped his contract, was on the receiving end of the axe this time. He will not be going back to First Take. They fired him. They fired Tom Pelissero, and they also fired Bart Scott. And so a lot of people have been weighing in. Cam has this 4th and 1 podcast that he does. And of course, he talked about it. Everybody's been just like all over the place trying to figure out what to renew someone's contract and then they're fired. And a lot of people speculated because Ryan Clark also was fired, that Ryan, in fact, was on air. This is the thing that gets me. Ryan was on a live set. He was making comments about the Dallas Cowboys being true contenders and kind of having a heated conversation across the platform about, him being this athlete. Ryan, of course, played with the Giants. Then he played with the Commanders, 2 teams in the same division, go figure. And he played as a safety before he left the NFL with the Commanders. But to basically tell other people on the platform, hey, I'm the athlete. I know how to look at this through a different lens than most people. But it was kind of confrontational because he basically was, like, hush, let me get my point out. Well, they went to commercial after that segment, and Ryan was not back. And so, the internet trolls and social media professionals, they do more investigation than the police do. They, people on the internet know everything. I mean, seriously, it doesn't matter what you are talking about. They know some kind of way to dig it up, figure it out, and put it out there before the professionals even get it on the record. So um, they were thinking it was because of that heated exchange. And Ryan Clark has been with ESPN for 11 years, since 2015. And so it's just odd to know, that he's not going to be on there. And it's part of the revamping process. In my opinion, I just think Disney should have stuck with Disney World, Disneyland, and kiddie stuff and stayed disconnected from sports. Of course, they acquired ESPN and a couple of other affiliates for a while. They made it look cutesy. They brought in Peyton and Eli on ESPN Monday Night Football and, did the Toy Story theme and things like that and made it look like, okay, this is a family thing. We're making football more family, which is cool. But now people are losing their jobs. And so I don't know what Cam's going to do. I know he has money. But he has a large family that he's caring for. I'm sure he makes a lot of, endorsements and stuff with his 4th and 1 podcast, him and Peggy, which, by the way, Peggy, if you ever hear this, I really have messaged you and I'm trying to at least get you on the platform. I mean, I probably won't get Cam, even though I met him. I probably won't get him on here, but I don't know. Will I? I mean, he's got some free time now, but I'm really interested to know what your thoughts are about this because it's a lot going on. Like I was telling Tenitra, this is training. The training season is now kicked back off. By the way, kudos to Pink. She was with Bryce today and Chuba Hubbard. I mean, these are the times of year I hate that I don't live near Charlotte, so I can't, pull up and get some of the stuff that's going on there with the team. I've had people actually invite me out to Flowery Branch, and I'm like, absolutely not. Like to go see the Falcons? No thanks. I mean, God bless them and everything, but I don't have an interest to go out there and see them. Not saying that I won't one day, but it's just not on my list. I'd rather go see my Panthers. But Cam lost his job, guys, and it's a lot of stuff. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything before I get ready to hop off of here. He lost his job. That's basically all I need to tell y'all. He lost his job. He doesn't have another job or anything lined up outside of his podcast right now, but he has a whole big thing that he's been talking about all day. And so, so let me tell you guys a little bit other news going on. I think I may have got anything. Let's run through some MLB standings real quick. This is the time of season that we're just 23 days away from football kicking off. I'm excited about that. I'm a baseball fan when it comes to like just little stuff, but not huge. But I do love the Braves. Do love the Braves. But it's been extremely hot in Atlanta and most of the country, and I just cannot brave the heat to go out there and see them. Matter of fact, got some scores going on right now. The Chicago White Sox are playing the Rangers. They're up 3-2 in a live game, top of the 6th right now. The Marlins, everybody's been talking about them. They're tied with the Astros 2-2, top of the 6th as well. And the Tigers, Tigers are up over the Cubs 4-1, top of the 6th. Yeah, Cam makes money with that podcast, and Ryan is on the Pivot podcast. Yeah, Ryan is on those podcasts, so you would feel like they have their own residual income, but I don't know. I mean, is their money as good as professional money? I don't know. All right, the MLB race, though, guys. This is the postseason race intensifying, trying to get everybody where they need to be. Trade deadline coming up. Contenders are evaluating whether or not they need to start other pitchers, bullpen help, or additional offense to strengthen their playoff chances. Got a lot of competition going on in the NL and the AL. The division races are extremely competitive right now. Every series now carries an increased importance as clubs actually are gearing up for these division titles and wild card positioning. Pitching workloads are a major topic throughout the league on both AL and NL sides because teams are actually carefully managing starters while trying to make sure they're prepared for the stretch run. You guys hear a lot of players saying that they're having these pitching injuries, arm injuries, and all these surgeries and things like that. And so it's like, that's what's up, Pink. And so it's like, you got to think about it, Coach Canales. I actually met one of his friends when I was in California, and I need to text him. He's supposed to be trying to connect me with Canales. They're long-term friends. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, this is the time of your young talent coming up. They're trying to get these bullpens out of these farm leagues to try to bring up, just to kind of alleviate some of the pressure off your main starters as they get very competitive for the final push. Several rookies and second year players are making strong cases to become everyday household names, everyday contributors. And you got to just think about it. This is just what we do. Let me make sure I don't have any other news, guys. I may hop off a little earlier. I usually have all my stuff up, but every time I get off of here, something pops up as soon as I log off. So I just want to make sure that I am telling you guys. Oh, yeah. How could I forget? So I was on Instagram earlier today, and I don't know if this was a parody or what. Everybody's been wondering where LeBron James is going to end up. He's, of course, written his thank you LA letter and said he will not be back next season. And they're making provisions for Bronny to follow him. Basically the James father-son duo. He's still a free agent, but I saw on Instagram earlier today where they were saying that the Heat accidentally leaked their welcome video. And I think that was just somebody trolling. I didn't even click on it, but it's just amazing how many people are putting him in different uniforms. They've rumored him to go back to Cleveland. They've rumored him to go back. It's always places he's already been. It's where everyone is projecting him to go. But he has not announced yet where he'll play next season. His agent, Rich Paul, has emphasized there's no timetable. So basically, he's pulling Aaron Rodgers with deciding where to go. So we may not know until the NBA season is about to start, honestly. And LeBron is not going to rush his decision. Teams that are reportedly interested in him, of course, are the Miami Heat, the Cavaliers, Golden State, and the 76ers. So he's interested even at 40 plus years old. Him and Aaron Rodgers are basically the same age, and he's definitely fully sought after. Now, congratulations to Victor Wembanyama, regardless of that show that we saw in the finals where he literally looked more lankier than I ever can remember, and he just didn't have a great attitude at all. I mean, I wouldn't have one either if I lost the NBA finals. But anyway, he is becoming the first face of NBA 2K27. So congratulations to him. He's going to be announced the cover athlete for this NBA 2K27 after a historic season that included unanimous Defensive Player of the Year honors. So Victor was, actually like the face of the league for a while, but he's just been this player that's actually transcended basketball and became a global sports icon. So congratulations to him. Off-season roster moves are now starting to build up under this microscopic view of what's going on in the NBA. Teams are evaluating free agent signings. We already talked about LeBron trades and the summer league, guys. Front offices are looking forward to the 26-27 season, and ESPN analysts are already grading some of the off-season moves and debating which franchises are going to be the most improved. I'm interested to see. I mean, I guess you don't really need to run it back if you run it one time. New Yorkers, I guess they probably think they have they have everything to go back again, especially with them going the first year after they fired Tom Thibodeau. So you got to think about it with ESPN and other networks that are evolving through NBA coverage. We've already seen some layoffs, even from the faces of NBA sports broadcasting. It's going to be a lot of changes in the next season as well with digital media and streaming platforms. And if you think about how everything is just coming out in a timely manner, it just feels like all of this is just a setup for something more. I don't know. ESPN is going to have to keep some people, but because they are not even offering restructured contracts or anything of that. I just need to make sure got everything. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit because I want to make sure that I have make sure I haven't missed, just in case LeBron signed while we were online. I definitely do not want to miss that. So give me 1 second, guys. I want to make sure I have everybody's latest news. All right, so latest news before I hop off. Looks like they taped Okamoto to the bench for the Blue Jays. They want to make sure he keeps his rest day in check. And there has been, okay, this is another thing I want to close out with. The WNBA Players Association held a video conference yesterday to discuss abusive messages to players that have been received in their corporate offices. And it's crazy because, you know, these fans, us fans, we are fanatics. The death threats, we've seen it with college football, we've seen it with the NFL. Like, these people genuinely are humans. Well, now the WNBA, because these are our ladies, and their players are now coming in like, you know what? Them and the WNBPA, Players Association, are like, we are not dealing with that. We're going to go ahead and nip that in the bud now because it gets really, 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 really crazy in the long run. So you got to nip it in the bud now. The Chicago Bears, you guys know they're moving to Indiana. The joke is they're going to be the Hammond Bears. They're moving, could not seem to secure the financing to go north of the city. They're coming off Lakeshore Drive real soon. Well, the Chiefs actually unveiled a planned $3 billion domed stadium in Kansas. They revealed that a few hours ago today. It's scheduled to open for the NFL's 2031 season. So everybody's trying to redo their stadiums except the Panthers. I don't know what's going to happen with that. And the Carolina Hurricanes, my Canes, because they're Stanley Cup champions, they're one of 4 teams that will have their games produced and distributed now by the NHL for the first time in a long time for the coming season. Everybody's going to be following them. Columbus Blues, Jackets, Minnesota Wild, and the St. Louis Blues also will be local broadcasted as well, done by NHL. All right, guys, that's all the time I have for now. Shout out to B, Pink, everybody in between. Thank you guys for an amazing night. Make sure you tune in for all of our shows live. We'll be live Friday with the fellas at 9 o'clock on Friday. And with that, I bid everybody a good night.